What's up, everyone? We are back. I know you guys have probably been waiting for our update on the Marvel Cinematic Universe tier list, as we typically do on here. I have my good friend Chad on,
Yo, what is up, dudes? Good to be back.
and we are going to talk about Thor: Love and Thunder, and then I'll let Chad talk about Miss Marvel for a second. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I haven't finished it. Uh, I will eventually. I don't think, from what I've heard, that there's any rush to make any power scaling video for her right this very second. So that'll probably wait until after the next Captain Marvel movie, where we'll get a bunch of new feats for her. But yeah, I mean, I'll catch up eventually. I've just. Thor hurt me, you know? Anyway, we don't need to get into that. But yeah, so this is the tier list. The last time we saw it, we had updated for Multiverse of Madness, so get a quick look at it as we go down. And let's take a look here. All right, these are all just extra pictures, so let's move these characters up here. My boy Gorr. Shout out to Natalie Portman, Korg, and then we'll talk about Kamala last. So first of all, I just want to get into Korg and Zeus. Unfortunately, I think they gotta go in hard to scale. Zeus has a bunch of like weird, just ambiguous statements about his power. He's like the ruler of, all of these most powerful gods. Does that make him the most powerful? He was killed by his own weapon, which is also amplified by Thor, and he didn't even die. Spoilers for the movie, but I mean, if you're here, you're probably not really worried about spoilers. So, yeah, I mean, I would assume that he's like above base Thor, but Thor was able to react to his attack and send it back at him and sort of like one shot him, so maybe not. In a like versus battle scenario, but maybe raw power he is. Chad, what do you think?
I think he kind of doo-doo, personally. I mean, he's called like the Overlord of the Gods, but then like Thor says he's the wisest of all of them, so that's probably why he's the head of the council.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, Thor's like, oh yeah, if me, you, uh, and Ra and Hercules team up, we'd be like the strongest squad, and we'd be able to take out Gorr with a pretty little effort. It was like, it's a bit flip floppity. I don't
You
really
would at the
know.
very least consider him stronger than like Valkyrie and Korg, I guess.
Uh, well, yeah, yeah. I mean, he just one shot Korg,
Yeah, that
um,
yeah, true.
and Gor's Necro Sword one taps Valkyrie, and obviously Zeus's lightning bolt is portrayed uh equal, at the very least relative to it because he's able to clash with it multiple times.
Yeah,
Um, again, like because there are Celestials on Omnipotent City,
which is very
and
weird, but
yeah, the way I interpret it is like Thor and Valkyrie say that it's the city itself is a place for extremely powerful beings, and I'd imagine like the gods just so happen to hold that their council there.
yeah, and they do
Right.
make a statement like that the most powerful gods all assemble there. And Zeus kind of talks down to Thor like he doesn't know who he is. Um, he knows who Odin is, but sort of like dismisses Odin as like sort of anything. So I'm guessing he wasn't very impressed with like Odin's power. But again, that could just be Zeus being kind of a dick. So I mean, it would be weird to like find a definitive placement, but I think he's probably around Elite Avenger
Yeah,
to God tier.
yeah, I'd agree with that because he is also just like um just portrayed as like a celebrity even amongst the gods. Like when he appears, there are all the gods like start chanting his name and cheering and all this shit. So he was probably putting on a facade. When he's talking about all the other gods, like Odin is like, oh, I thought you all died. I thought all the Asgardians died off when Odin bit the dust, kind of thing.
Yeah, and
But
it could just be a case where these two were like bitter rivals or didn't like each other, and so Zeus never gave Odin the invite to the orgy, you know?
yeah,
So it could be one of those situations where like he's not actually more powerful than Odin, but I could see in my own headcanon these two being like right next to each other. Kind of look alike, you know. But like them being the head of their respective mythologies. You know what I mean? Like Zeus and
yeah.
Odin are sort of like relative in that narrative sense, historically and in the MCU as well. So it wouldn't be surprising if he was just up here with Odin, like Elite Avenger, but for now we're just gonna put him in hard to scale until we find out more. Korg has been in hard to scale for a long time. I don't think that changes here. He's very inconsistent. Yeah, we know he's weaker than like Thor and Valkyrie and these other characters, but where exactly would he go? Very hard to like definitively say. At least in my opinion, I think he would probably be like mid tier god, probably lower maybe. Spider-Man tier, who
Yeah,
knows? Yeah.
yeah, he's probably somewhere around there.
But let's talk about Thor, the man himself. He's obviously going to be up here in god tier. We think just one spot above his endgame version. We know that he's gotten stronger, um, based on the like narration at the beginning, but like quantifiably, hard to say that he's gotten that much stronger. And again, Captain America with Mjolnir, I don't know what we want to do with him. Do we just always want to say Cap with Mjolnir is Thor endgame level, and that's just as high as he gets ever? I guess that would just be a decision we would have to make as, the arbiters of this tier list or whatever. But if we want to just say that Cap with Mjolnir constantly scales with the current Thor, then I think Cap with Mjolnir is probably always above Thor until Thor gets a little boost in skill.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird because I think the regard like so long as you are worthy, it doesn't really matter what hammer or like what point, what level of power Thor has at the time. It's just you will get that level of power
Exactly. Yeah.
because Jane gets the destroyed Mjolnir from Thor, the original one from the original timeline, in the stupidest way possible. But regardless, she gets that and she's able to put up um just as good as fight against Gorr as Thor can.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and obviously Thor
Arguably
has a
even
Thor,
better. You know.
yeah, and Thor should have like lore wise should have a better weapon. Like Stormbreaker should be better than Mjolnir,
Yeah, that
especially
was
at this
very
point.
weird part of Thor: Love and Thunder, because like Stormbreaker was like hyped up as like a Thanos killer. Obviously, we think Thanos is like up there with Hela. And Mjolnir was essentially nothing to her. It was a king's weapon. We know that Mjolnir is like not a king's weapon. It can't open the Bifrost. That's like the definitive trait of a king's weapon.
Yeah,
So
like
like
interdimensional
Gungnir,
travel.
yeah, Gungnir is considered a king's weapon, would be above Mjolnir. But then there's these weird statements from Odin where it's like there's no better, what is it, weapon for
Oh
war,
no,
or like tool to build or something.
yeah, no better tool to build or destroy than Mjolnir.
Yeah, so there's weird statements about Mjolnir just being the best weapon in Asgard, but then it also doesn't meet the criteria to be the best weapon in Asgard, so it's very weird. Based on what we've seen, I'd say Stormbreaker is just blatantly better. It can cut, through Thanos. Mjolnir thrown at by Cap or Thor just at best staggers Thanos, whereas if Stormbreaker hits, can kill or maim Thanos. So yeah, it's very very weird how the trajectory of like Mjolnir is going in the MCU. It goes up and down and up and down. Now I think they're like kind of establishing again that it's the best weapon, and Thor obviously takes it over Stormbreaker in the end.
Yeah, that there is that as well, which is also strange.
Yeah, so Thor just slightly above his previous Endgame version. Not really much more to say. Now we know
Yeah.
he can enchant objects, which I guess he's always had the ability to, and he can pass on his power to others. But that's also kind of weird because
Where was that during
they're
Endgame?
true, but also like, yo, that's actually a good point. Why didn't Thor amp everyone at Endgame, and then
Yeah, I know
they just dogpile Thanos and stomp him out? Um,
exactly. Like,
but he
it's just
passes on his power. But the kids are using like yellow lightning, which is Zeus's, instead of blue lightning, which is Thor's. So it's all very weird. I think, you know, Love and Thunder is like a narrative mess, and then also like just doesn't make sense within the canon of the own films, and it goes back on Thor's journey of moving past Mjolnir, which is what happened in Ragnarok, and now he wants Mjolnir back. And in Endgame, we went on this journey of self-discovery where he found out that he was still worthy despite his failures, and then he is wondering in this movie if he's still worthy. It was bad. But anyway, the power scaling for Thor is not that much different. It's just like, hey, he has a couple new abilities now. Cool. Yeah, let's go.
yeah.
So,
Like he does like I think this is like at the moment this is peak Thor because Endgame, yes, he does have Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, but I feel like the versatility really comes in. Like it's pretty hard to wield both of those things at the same time, but properly, like in a skilled manner, like other than just throwing them and
yeah.
swinging them. Um,
I don't think he
whereas
made
like
the most of both of them, at the
no,
same time.
and he does not use he doesn't use his lightning in the way that he does at the end of Ragnarok either. Whereas like in Love and Thunder, we see that he has no issue like coating his body in lightning. There's a point where like Gorr like chains him with like some shadow constructs, and he like uses um his lightning cloak to like destroy them, to create like an AoE and destroy them, instead of using Stormbreaker. So we can see now that his I guess his battle IQ, and ability to apply his abilities is better, at its best now. So should be
Yeah,
peak Thor, and obviously he's in the best condition he is. So he has been throughout the MCU. So
I
there you
agree.
go.
So let's talk about Gorr then. What do you think of Gorr? Because
Um,
I think it was pretty inconsistent, Gorr's sort of like ability set. Like when he first shows up, Thor just like duties on him, and he's kind of like a non-threat, in New Asgard. But then once he goes to like the dark realm, or his like dark planet, his black and white planet, he gets a significant amp to the point where he's able to like fight Valkyrie, who has Zeus's weapon, and Thor and the mighty Thor all at once. But then
yeah,
later, kind of can't fight them one on one. So
he
it's like,
he is. Valkyrie does say that he should be stronger there on
yeah,
that shadow planet or
mm-hmm.
asteroid, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Um, don't think that mean. I don't really think that means that he's like power increases. It's just that like he's able to better apply his abilities there. Like it isn't like a hella thing where he's growing stronger over time. It's
Right,
more
right,
so that like okay, this entire environment is basically covered in an element that can help me better apply my abilities. So obviously, because it's complete, because you see, like he just goes into the ground and that's how he beats Valkyrie. Like he's able to just basically like traverse the entire environment by using his ability to like shift through shadows and shit. So I think that's what it means. Like he'd be at his most powerful. Like even if he did get stronger, it's like unquantifiable, like numbers wise. Like I guess you could just say like if you compare his performances uh before that and after that when he's not on that asteroid, then yeah, he would be better there. But again, can't plan him. I mean, he could just like shut some like a giant like shadow creature, I guess. I don't know how someone like Loki would beat that. Um, but yeah, it's a bit weird. He's his abilities sorry, his performances after are definitely not up to par with. when he was on the asteroid.
What do you
I don't know
think
how you feel
about
about that.
his final fight with Thor and Mighty Thor? Because it kind of seemed to me that like Thor needed saving in the end, when originally he was kind of like I said, he was just beating up on Gorr on in New Asgard. Like it wasn't even close. Gorr had to retreat, point blank, period. But in the final battle, Gorr was sort of getting the upper hand, and then the mighty Thor needed to come in. So, how do you think the interaction between Gorr, Thor, and let's just bring in mighty Thor here? How do you think this interaction goes?
Okay, so I just okay. This is relevant to Gore. So Taika Waititi said that he's more formidable than Hela. Um, so there's that. But uh, in regards to like the specific characters here, I think it'd probably be like it might be like Thor. I guess like peak Gore and Jane and Thor. I'd say peak is in like on that shadow planet.
Yeah. Yeah, I
That's
think
probably how I
it
do it.
would do us well to have multiple Gors, and we do have another one here, but this is also like on the shadow planet, so it's kind of like not really indicative of what we've got, but we could go
Yeah.
something, like this, or maybe even a tier below, because Gorr really just gets dumped on by Thor early on. So maybe switch these two. But yeah, I think Mighty Thor, just based on that last battle, was slightly better than Thor was. Um, yeah, and ultimately sort of like brought it home for everyone. But maybe you could say Thor was weakened because he passed on his power to all these other people. But, who knows? Does it drain Odin to, like, amp other characters via Mjolnir's enchantment? Probably not. I mean, he's dead during Endgame, so. And he's dead during Love and Thunder, and the enchantment still grants Jane Thor's power. So I would assume that
Yeah.
it doesn't drain Thor of his power either. So it's tricky. I think we'll know more once like the director's commentary is out and we have like more information that we can gather from other sources, guidebooks. There has not been a guidebook since Infinity War, so it's been quite a while. But once we get
Jesus.
this more information, we'll be able to get a more solid understanding of these newer characters. Because right now we're kind of just going off of, what we see and kind of trying to gauge the characters based on other characters that they don't scale to, like Hela, like Gorr being more formidable than Hela. That doesn't seem like it is the case based on what we've seen. But if that is the case, then Thor compared to his Endgame version is like, busting Surtur's ass, and then Gorr is up here, and Jane is also up here, which is a major, major jump. And then also we would have to move Captain America like up here. So it's
She's
just
definitely some Cap because Cap. I mean, yeah. I mean, like if I wouldn't. Yeah, I was gonna say if we had to move, I wouldn't say we have to move Cap up necessarily because I would take it as his power in Endgame
yeah.
because you know if someone saw Cap above Thanos, they'd be like,
Huh?
"Oh, hold on,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
the hell's
yeah.
going on here?"
Right, right.
But
But yeah, I think
yeah,
we'll leave it like this for now. I would say this is very like tentative placement for these characters. The rest of the tier list you can take as word of God. But these right here, I think this is what we're feeling, and we're open to different arguments and interpretations. We're trying to feel this out a little bit more. And then Kamala.
okay. So you said you haven't watched Miss Marvel, right? Or at least
Yeah,
all
so
of it.
I mean, this is gonna be all on you. The pressure is on.
Oh boy. Okay, so she like I don't know how she's probably like wall level or something. Um, without her in big form, but she does struggle with some ninja dude, some dude who was cosplaying as Naruto in like episode I think it's like 4 or something. Um, so based on that, I'd say that she's like below, like
Like
probably
down
below
here.
like in mid tier Shield agent.
Do you think like
Yeah,
Punisher fucks her up or what?
I
Like
think
Daredevil's
Punisher's
down
like
here.
yeah, like Daredevil would be like bobbing and weaving and jumping all over the place.
Kingpin is here. Would Kingpin be able to
Yeah,
go toe to toe with her in big form? Probably. Like he tanked an explosion that destroyed like part of a building, right?
yeah, like the embiggen form thing, like she destroys a military grade Humvee by like crushing it. That should at least be small building level. Um, I it's most likely higher, but I don't know how high. I don't know how high you get someone to have to do like provide an actual calc for it or
Yeah.
something similar.
I mean, going off
So
of
like it's
that, just like rough estimate, the characters. I mean, based on what you're saying, is has like no skill, which makes sense. She's just like a regular high school student.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so I mean, she could be as low as like Defender tier, or she could be as high as like Hero of Harlem. If we want to say she's small building, that's like around Luke Cage level.
Yeah.
Um, so for now, let's just put her at like high tier Shield agent, and then again we'll find out more as like the series goes on. I think she'll probably be a lot more relevant once the next movie comes out because she's going to be hanging out with Captain Marvel and
Yeah.
doing shit like
I just,
that. So
I heard it's gonna be a musical.
yeah, I did hear parts of that are going to be a musical, which is fine with me. Shout out to Brie Larson, who was in Scott Pilgrim, had a little musical number in that. So, she's bringing those chops to the MCU.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. Anything different than what we're getting currently in the MCU would be good with me. But yeah, this is how we're feeling. It's not super definitive for really any of these characters. We're still feeling it out, but we wanted to give you guys an update. So that's it for
Oh,
us. Oh,
oh,
Chad, you got something else?
I got some notes.
All
Right.
right, go ahead.
So, uh, some friends of ours went through the director's commentary for Multiverse of Madness. Right.
Oh, I didn't even know that was out.
Neither did. Apparently, it came out before the movie did.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna have to send it you so you can get some statements from it. But so they they basically imply that Wanda couldn't have done anything to Black Bolt if she didn't reality warp his mouth away. And then after she dies, they state that her and Captain Marvel are the strongest beings in the universe. Um, and the only way she beats that is by siphoning off her powers. Um,
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
there's a statement on Marvel.com that the Darkhold is like the ultimate power of evil.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which would like probably put it above the Dormammu.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was rewatching Multiverse of Madness the other day with the audio description on just to get more, information about it. And there's a lot of really kind of crazy stuff that Wanda does in that. Um, and it's just stated that she's prophesied to either destroy the multiverse or rule the multiverse, one or the other. Now, the only issue with that is it does not happen. So the prophecy is false. So in that instance, would we be able to put her above Dormammu based on just that one statement that is just not true, the second statement about the Darkhold, which could possibly be true, but again, she had a change of heart. So if she didn't have that change of heart, would she have actually either ruled or destroyed the multiverse? That I think is left up to interpretation a bit, but I yeah, I would struggle to put her above Dormammu just based on that because Dormammu confirmed is like low multiversal. This would obviously put her a tier above. We'd have to make another one.
Yeah,
But yeah.
I, al- also the like, because there's that feat right where she destroys like every single Darkhold in the multiverse,
Hmm.
which could probably be infinite 3D
I
because she's obviously exerting an infinite amount of power over 3D space.
right, right.
But
Um,
that still doesn't get to Dormammu, who I'm pretty sure should be like baseline 4D at best. I
yeah,
mean, sorry,
he's
at least, sorry.
contains multiple infinite 3D spaces within the dark dimension.
Yeah.
So if we just want to go off of that one feat, then she would still be below. But if we want to take the prophecy as completely true, which is kind of hard to do because she didn't, but again, it was a change of heart and not necessarily a lack of power, it gets weird.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm cool with
It
moving her up a tier, but hard to put her above Dormammu with just those statements.
because it's also like, is she like you said, is she that strong? Did she fulfill the prophecy in terms of power and just like have a change of heart, like you said, or did she need America Chavez's power not only to be able to traverse the multiverse, but also to boost her power? Because
Hmm.
Chavez's power it also is just like raw like
Energy. Like Doctor Strange
energy as
tried to
well.
take it, Wanda
Yeah,
was going to take
yeah,
it and,
and like
sort of absorb it into their form, kind of how, like, Goku does or whatever. Like,
yeah.
his base form becomes Super Saiyan 1.
Then like when Chavez punches out like full force, she gets like three hits on Wanda, and Wanda kind of like just smiles and just like shrugs it off.
Yeah.
So I think it might like in that case, it probably is just like she needed her power to just access the various different universes rather than just add it to her own. But yeah, I mean, I can see your point as like it's hard to definitively put her above Dormammu. Um, even with those statements, because
Speaking
at the
of
end of the day, he's
which,
just like high dimensional and shit. So
yeah, I do need to add the, like, Illuminati to the tier list, at least, like, the relative people. That would be, like, Captain Marvel and, I don't know, Black Bolt, I guess. Maybe Professor X, but he would probably just go in hard to scale, so would Reed Richards. And
yeah,
Captain Carter is probably just Captain America level with a jetpack, so there's probably no reason to. But, yeah, at least those characters, those two, I think would be worth adding at some point. But, yeah, was there anything else interesting that came out of the director's commentary, or was that it?
I don't think so. Hold on. No, I don't think so.
Cool.
If there is, I'll let you know. But
Yeah, I've
I'll send you the whole thing later on.
is it on? I'll check Disney Plus as well, see if it's on there. But yeah, all right. So that is it for this update on the Marvel Cinematic Universe tier list. And we will continually keep an eye on Marvel.com, interviews, etc., to obviously make this list as accurate as possible. The newer the media, the harder it is to accurately scale. But, we're working on it. Thanks again to Chad for hopping on as always. Have to have him on, the ultimate MCU power scaler himself. And he'll be back on, of course, for the next update when that comes around. I'm not even sure what the next Marvel thing is, but whatever that
She-Hulk.
is. She
Hulk
Hulk.
upscale, finally.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Chad will be hyped for that. Hulk's his guy. So we'll be back for She Hulk for another update. Until then, we'll see you guys later.
See ya.